next thing I know, he's over there sitting down beside of the house, and he's kind of slumped down, and he said, I don't think I can finish this cigar. I said, that's okay. He said, in fact, I think I'm going to be blah.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Dreamer Cigars podcast. I am your host, Adam Guard, aka AG the Dreamer.
And I am your co-host, Logan Hamilton, aka Hambone. And today we have another very special guest, my own father, David Hamilton. David, how are you today?
Doing great, thanks.
That's awesome. It's so cool. Like, I feel like this podcast, I'm just going to sit back and smoke my cigar and let father and son talk. Because is there a better moment than smoking a cigar with your son?
No.
And with your father? Like,
There's not.
I'm so jealous. We'll have to have my dad on sometime. But Logan, you didn't see this coming, all right? And you didn't either. But you have a birthday coming up. He does, right?
He does.
On Monday. So I have a special gift for you.
What?
For your birthday.
No, you don't.
It's right here, my friend.
Oh my God.
Open it up.
Are you serious?
Oh, open it up. Happy birthday, my brother.
Thank you, man.
Open it up. You gotta see what it is, right? You can't just accept the gift.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to open it. There you go.
I did not see this coming.
I know you didn't.
I did not see this coming. Dude, I actually forgot about my birthday almost. Oh, man.
Boy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Show it.
Dude, give me a hug.
There you
Thank
go.
you, brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Happy birthday.
That's beautiful. You know, I've been thinking a lot about Cutters recently. Not the place we're at.
Well, shout out to Cutters.
Shout out to Cutters. But
Just so you're saying.
I have been thinking, like, I need a really nice cutter, and I want a V-cut cutter because I always use the V-cut for my cigars.
You've always liked mine.
And I've always loved your cutter. I use it every podcast.
Now you got your own. I use mine.
Dude, this is beautiful, and it's got little blue accents to it. That's awesome.
Show it to your dad. Come on now.
Check it out, Dad.
No, we were actually, it's got some weight to it.
Yeah?
That's nice.
I can throw it at someone.
That's very nice. Yeah, that could be a weapon.
It's a defense
There
system.
you go.
Dude, that's nice.
That's
Very
sweet.
Nice.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate
Yeah, don't
it.
leave it laying around.
There you go. Your dad's gonna steal it.
Yeah, really. It's going to be.
Well, let's get into the cigar, guys. Today we are smoking a Padron 1964, the anniversary series, and I believe here you can have. Yep. Or should you use it? I don't know which color. You can use mine.
That's saucy, dude.
And then,
I just noticed it says Rocky Patel on the back.
That's a Rocky Patel cutter right there.
I love it.
Shout out
One of
to
my favorite
Rocky.
cigars. Shout out to Rocky.
Shout out to Rocky.
Love
Unlike Walmart, we may be able to get sponsored by Rocky.
those sweaty wallets.
Yeah.
You know.
But this Padron is one of those brands that is nationally known as just super high quality, right? David, you smoke a lot of Padrones from my understanding, and you're a big fan of them,
Yep,
correct?
love them. Yep.
What is your favorite thing about a Padron?
It's consistent. The draw on it's always consistent. The cigar is always nice and just firmly moist to where you know you're going to get a good smoke from start to finish. It's just a well-made cigar. You can tell that the single leaf wraps are consistent throughout the cigar, and they took, this is not a cigar that's fastly rolled, it's one that's actually put together with a lot of care.
Yeah, I totally agree. Every Padron I've ever had, high quality. You know, we've given a lot of we've given a lot of prestige and a lot of name and all that sort of stuff to Davidoff, but Padron's right there in the same category. Padron, and to many people, including Russ, we had on the last podcast, the owner of Cutters, his favorite cigar is Padron, and to his credit, he'll say, you know, he likes the 1964. I believe his favorite might just be the anniversary series, but he has that over almost any other cigar that I've seen him smoke. He has that the most often. So today we're gonna smoke this. We're gonna see if we can see the cedar in this cigar.
You know, off my first puff, first of all, this is a very smooth draw. Probably one of the smoothest draws I've ever had That's incredible. And you know, you say cedar right away. I'll be honest, I do taste a little cedar.
I mean, I ate it yesterday, so it's fresh on my palate.
Oh, yeah?
I ate a little cedar, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was your lunch?
I took a bite out of my humidor.
Spanish
so
cedar.
smooth.
Yeah, Spanish cedar. There you go. But
I love that.
but it was really good. So let's get into this thing, David. How did you first get into cigars? And I'm going to steal this because this is my questions. Those are your questions.
That's okay. No worries. No worries. I'll tell you that smooth draw keeps it from burning too hot from start to finish too.
Which is important.
So it is. So it doesn't burn too fast because you don't have to draw as hard on it, and that's what makes it special. Okay, so just making a note about that.
I like that.
But how I got into tobacco, actually I grew tobacco as a kid, got up and worked tobacco and always had to take it to market. And so just got to learn tobacco, how it's processed, how you take it from a seedling up to harvest to the market.
So to market, what does that mean? Like in a cigar sense, or like was it other different type of? There's a lot of different tobacco
Right.
type. What?
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that when you have a tobacco plant, they use the top leaves for a different quality of tobacco than the middle leaves or the bottom leaves. And so you have to take those off and dry those and cure those accordingly. So when you hang it in a barn, after you've harvested, it stays in there until about this time, September, when it starts getting a little chilly. And it gets a little sappy, a little sticky. And then that's time to harvest and put it into the baskets or burlap sacks to take it to market. But the quality is in the different heights of the leaves.
And you went through that process.
I did, from start to finish. And in fact, it got to the point that I could taste a leaf blindfolded and tell you if it came from the top or the bottom of the plant. Because
No
That's
way.
interesting. I don't know that far into it, but I do know the Maduro cigars that you smoke come from the bottom leaves, right? Because they got less sunlight, so they're darker, and that's why. Because the sunlight kills a lot of the nicotine that's in the tobacco, right?
Right, it does.
So the top of the cigar, that's why that one's really light. So your Connecticut shade wrappers and all that sort of stuff is the lighter wrappers.
Yep.
Those are usually a little less potent with that, and it's a little less strong. Right?
yeah,
That's fascinating.
And the ground that it's grown in. Is it acidic soil? Is it alkaline soil? Dark soil? How did you plant it? So it's a real science, a process from start to finish.
Would you say that and this is off the cuff. This isn't even one of our questions. You
Okay.
just got me going now already. Would you say that the height of the tobacco leaf, if it's from the top or the bottom, or the soil, determines the taste of your cigar the most?
Good question.
Ooh, it is. If I had to pick one of the, I would say the soil.
I thought that
Okay.
too. That's what I've heard.
Okay, because that's also, the soil is the most important when you grow a great wine. Okay?
Ooh, which, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about.
We'll talk about it, but
We're gonna have to talk about the. So
we got to talk about the wine now. That was
It's the first time we're having the wine.
Right. This is the first time we're having a wine paired with a cigar, and I think the best thing to do is let David, which feels so weird to say, your actual name like that. I called my own father David.
It's not Dada.
it's okay.
And that ended last week.
There you go. Congratulations. It's with your 25th birthday. It's,
Right. I grew up.
now you can say David instead of Dada.
Yeah, and now when there's a timeout, that means we both have a cigar.
Ooh,
I like that.
you should have more time out.
I should have more time outs.
Yeah,
I should come home more.
this is one of those sessions.
That's funny.
David, let's get into the wine. What are we drinking today?
This right here is an Orange Swift wine. It's called Prisoner. It's a cab, and it's a great medium-bodied wine. It doesn't have a lot of tannins, which means that the wine is going to drink smooth from the start of the palate to the end of the palate. And this right here, Orange Swift has a lot of different brands and labels he puts out. He's got 8 years in the desert. If you can look at the theme that he's had across the board, 8 years in the desert, Prisoner, Unshackled, okay?
Wow.
I mean, all of those kind of go in process. And they all equally drink a little different, but they're just smooth, the same quality throughout. It's a great wine.
Well, I just had my first sip, and I've never had this wine, and we do sell it here in the Cutter's Cigar and Spirits Lounge, so come try it here. But I gotta say,
That's interesting.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's complex.
It is.
True. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot about wine because I don't. So I'm here to get educated today, just like our audience. But that is a complex wine.
That's my first time.
It is complex only because you're going to get, sometimes you'll get the same taste throughout. You mentioned, you get a little cedar from the cigar. The wine may turn that cedar into more of a little chocolatey taste or some berries throughout. So complexity of the wine says that you're probably going to get consistency throughout the wine, but at the same time, it's going to give you some different notes on the cigar that you normally didn't get through a bourbon or some other drink.
Gotcha.
Which is enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about a million times, right? How much you can pull different notes out with the espresso martini, but different drinks will pull out different things, right? So you can smoke the same cigar and have a different experience depending on your drink.
So what's interesting about that is that most people look at, if they want to have a cigar and sit down and relax, they'll get a scotch, they'll get a bourbon, something along those lines. But most people don't think, I wonder what wine I should get if I wanted to have a great wine. Maybe they're not a bourbon drinker, and they wanted to pair something up. And so the same process of pairing a great wine to a cigar is the same process as you would with a bourbon or a scotch.
Right, that makes sense. And I've had Prisoner before, by itself and with foods, but this is my first time actually having any wine with a cigar, a pairing like that.
Really?
Ever? Yeah.
I've had wine with a cigar before, but not like trying to get notes.
I've never actually
really,
tried wine to a cigar, and I think this is the perfect wine to pair to, especially to a Padron, because
I was going to say the Padron is probably a lot of that too.
And you do get that little chocolate taste out of the Prisoner, especially. Unshackled goes a little bit further with it, but I definitely get that tiny bit of a chocolatey taste with it. But pairing that with, especially a Padron cigar, I really got something there.
And the beauty is that you may get a chocolate overtone from the wine in your cigar, and I may get something from an oaky or something else. I mean, it's about your taste buds.
The palate, right? It's about each specific palate, which we talk about all the time with cigars. Like, we're sitting here talking about Padron, and like Logan, you and I are a great example of this. I am keen more towards that oily Maduro wrapper. I like a Liga 9, for instance, or that Davidoff Dominicana. Like, I like that type of cigar, just when you can feel that. But you're more of kind of on the lighter end, and I mean medium bodied type stuff.
For sure.
And it's all about the palate.
Oh yeah.
It's all about the palate.
Oh yeah.
And if you go a step further with it, wines, they're going to either be a dry wine, it's going to be a bold wine, it's going to be a medium-bodied wine.
We got a medium body here.
And so you got a medium-bodied wine here that drinks consistent throughout. So this is not a wine that I would smoke a Maduro with.
Really? I was about to say, I think, being a non-wine smoker, I thought that it was going to be a heavier wine.
Well, interesting, if you take a bold wine and if you take a one that's maybe not as smooth as this wine, and you smoke a Maduro with it, you're going to get two strong tastes coming and clashing together. When really, if you take a Connecticut wrapper, something that's light with a medium-bodied wine, or even a more bold wine, you're going to get that flavor, you're going to get to draw from it more than have those always in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
So it depends what you're trying to taste more, because there may be wine aficionados out there that say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and smoke a lighter cigar than my wine because I want to taste what the cigar brings out of the wine.
Right. Exactly.
And then, like, me being a big cigar guy, not so much a wine guy, I may say, I'm going to smoke a Maduro, but I'm going to have a lighter wine because I don't want it to overpower my cigar.
That's right.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And this is actually really interesting.
I've learned so much already.
This is actually really interesting because what age did you grow up, going to the tobacco fields and tasting tobacco? What age was that?
12, 13, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because I actually started out, with dipping tobaccos. I never chewed pouch tobaccos because they put additives in them, sweeteners, and that's not tobacco. You got to have a pure tobacco taste. Okay, it's got to be a straight tobacco, and you got to be able to taste what flavors are in it. Okay, if you have all these additives to it, you'll never get that.
Right.
So I started out tasting the tobaccos, and none of the tobaccos bothered me. Some people get sick, some people get lightheaded. It never bothered me because I tasted the pure form of the sap of the tobacco leaf, and you don't get any stronger than that. And so I grew up with that. But I could taste the richness of the tobacco and the leaves, and I could tell you that the leaves or the tobacco grown on the back of the property that didn't get as much sun, it tasted a little bit more bitter than the ones that got the full sun and everything else.
That's fascinating.
So as a kid, that's just what we did. And then we took it and
So growing up with that and doing that, at that young of an age, have you ever lost your taste for cigars?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's a good question. So I've lost my taste for tobacco before that lasted maybe 6 months to a year. I also lost my taste for wine that lasted over a year.
Really?
And I lost my taste for bourbons. And so I would not...
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because I would get into the rut of having similar wines, similar tobaccos, and my palate just got worn out. And so it was kind of like my brain saying, you need to take a break from it. And I'd take that break. I wouldn't pressure myself to say, man, I want that cigar. I never craved it when I didn't drink it.
Yeah.
And so I would wait, be patient, and when it came back, it was like even better.
Yeah.
I mean, the taste, the richness, and then I started drawing more flavors. It was crazy.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, about if you smoke like all Maduros and you smoke, 5 cigars a day, your palate just gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're not going to be able to pull out anything no matter what you do.
That's right. And that's why you
I don't
smoke
want
multiple brands.
No, I don't want that at all because I love the taste of cigars, so why would I want to ruin that?
Right.
That's why so many people, I have a lot of cigars right now, and a lot of people are like, oh man, like you can just smoke so many. I'm like, well, I try not to because I want it to stay a sacred event for me.
Yeah.
I want it
sure.
to stay, and I feel like that's exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
You want the wine. You don't want to be like, oh man, I'm just pounding this wine and now I can't taste it, and it's just for the alcohol or just for I just drink wine because I like wine. Like,
Exactly.
You want that taste. You want that appreciation of that. And
I used to collect wines, and I would put wines back, and they would be great wines, and I wanted to save them, put some age on them. And one day it dawned on me that, if I died and I had all that good wine downstairs, a lot of my friends would come over and probably drink it like beer and just chug it, and they wouldn't take it.
Appreciate it.
So from then on, all wines were ready to drink. I don't collect wines anymore. I buy them ready to drink.
I am that way with cigars.
You don't collect wines with all of those bottles of wine?
Well, I just got back from Napa, so I have a little bit more wine now than normal.
There you go.
I got a little out of control there. So.
And by the way, happy 30th anniversary
Yeah, there you
to
go.
both my
Appreciate
parents.
that.
There you go.
Most definitely.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's been a good trip.
That's a big thing. I mean, with nowadays the family, the focus in society has kind of gone away from the family and so much. And with that, I'd like to transition into a question. And Logan, I mean,
It's beautiful.
yeah,
I should
Ash
let
just
it go.
looks
Keep going.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's something that we haven't even talked about, and I don't know if you even saw this question coming, Logan, because it's your dad. But I've hung out with you a time or two, and obviously Logan and I hang out a lot, and there's something that I've seen between you two, the manhood and manliness, and I've seen that since we've met. So I'd like to ask you this because it's an interesting question, and I'd like your perspective on it. Why do you think cigars are usually linked to kind of manliness? Why do you think that is?
Well, I'll try not to get in trouble on this answer.
Well, no, it's
Okay.
I mean, women can smoke cigars too, but it's usually linked with manliness and, a father, like I mentioned it earlier, a father and a son having
Yeah.
a cigar, it's a moment.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
A couple of reasons. One is I think that cigars is a way of either finishing a day or some type of a celebration. You see cigars given out at weddings. Cigars is a reward to yourself in a lot of ways. And when you can share a good cigar with your son, some good friends, it's a way of socializing and coming together and fellowship. And I think that, that's one answer. A second answer is it's also where men can go that their wives or girlfriends won't follow if they don't like the smell of cigars.
So, yeah, that's,
Some.
which is true. Yeah. Luckily, I would say luckily, my fiance Teresa, she'll smoke cigars with me.
Yeah.
So and I've even seen the connection between us two when we're smoking a cigar. She'll do it occasionally, but so I guess at the end of the day, is there some truth behind that notion that there is some manliness that there's a certain connection, because I have it with my dad too. When we smoke a cigar, it's a different conversation.
It is.
Than if we were not having one.
It is.
And I don't know exactly, I mean, it may be some chemical thing that goes on, but there's something just about the cigar experience
Yep.
that has that connection.
Well, it's a bonding experience. For example, if we all smoked cigarettes, you would just smoke a cigarette. You would never say, how's that Marlboro over that other cigarette? You would never discuss it.
Sure.
Okay, but a cigar, you would say, what are you smoking? And you'd discuss it, and you'd have a conversation, and you could go, I think I'm going to try that. And you would share, and you would exchange cigars. So it creates a whole different dynamic for people, whether it's father, son, friends. It creates it, and then the conversations always end up pretty darn good as well. So I think it's, is it a manly thing? I think it's because mostly men smoke them, but I will tell you, when I was in Napa, and I was talking about pairing wines with cigars, there was a woman there that said, I don't smoke cigarettes, but I will smoke a cigar just to get the body and feel for my wine. Okay?
Interesting. For the wine.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, she would smoke a lighter cigar probably,
Depending
to
on the
not
wine.
overpower the wine.
Because most people pair wines with food. They never pair them with cigars. I went to 2 different wineries, and both of them, one of them was a gentleman who will be in Atlanta this coming spring. He said absolutely that he pairs cigars with wine so that he can give people a complete experience from wine to food, wine to cigar, afterwards. And he said it's a combination, and it's probably a different wine with the cigar later than the wine was with the food. And so it's a great experience, but Napa did not leave out pairing cigars with good wines.
That's fascinating. I love that. So let's talk about this taste. Let's talk about this taste of the cigar. What are you guys getting out of the cigar at this point? What are you tasting? Because I am tasting a little bit of
tasting a little love.
Just the love. I can't get over this draw, AG. I can't get over this draw. It is so smooth.
Hambone, I'm telling you, Padrones,
This might
you
have
can
just
never go wrong.
moved up in my list.
Dude, they're so good.
I understand why it's your favorite cigar now.
Yeah, it is my favorite cigar.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It is.
What's your favorite cigar?
Okay, so
well, we won't get into that yet. We'll pop into that later.
okay, because I got
know
a
what you're about
couple.
to say.
I got a couple.
I got a story for you guys. All right, we're talking about Padron and how consistent they are, okay? Do you know the history of Padron?
No.
Now, this cigar we're smoking right here does not have it on there, but most cigar bands do have a hammer on the band. Do you know why? Do you know what the significance is behind the hammer?
No.
So, I believe it was Jose Padron. It was either Jose or Jorge Padron. One of them's the first one, the person who came out with Padron cigars, and one of them the son. I believe it is Jose. Jose left Cuba. Okay, he was a Cuban. He left Cuba when the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that, and he was in his 30s, and he was fleeing and just trying to figure it out. He went to Miami and just trying to figure life out, fleeing your own country. I mean, I couldn't imagine it. So he got there, and then he gets on the government. There was a refugee thing going on where they got like $60 a month or a week or something like that, and he felt like he was burdening the country that took him in. He was getting this money from the country that brought him in, from the United States, through this program, but he was like, I am burdening this country that brought me in. I want to help them because I'm so thankful for bringing me in. So he tried to find jobs, and he eventually got a carpenter job. And as a little gift, one of his friends gave him a hammer. And he was like, use this hammer as a symbol. And so he did, and eventually, being from Cuba, obviously he liked cigars, so he was like, man, I can't find a good cigar in Miami. So he just kept working as a carpenter, using that hammer just day in and day out, earning his living. So he's Thor. Yeah.
He's Thor.
And eventually was able to start Padron Cigars. And he's kept that hammer as a symbol of the company, of hard work and where he came from. Isn't that a super cool
That's a
story?
great story.
Isn't that awesome?
I
Just with
love that
Padrones?
story.
I mean,
Wow.
it's amazing, and I got to credit that Russ, the owner of Cutters, he gave me that little bit of he gave me a little pamphlet of that. So I got to give a shout out to Russ. I appreciate that, and it's just super. That's what I love about the cigar community. How it still has that depth to it. Not a lot of communities have that depth.
Most definitely.
You know, and it has that depth. So,
But think about the inheritance to where you go from one generation to the next, and they keep that same quality
Right.
and that same work ethic.
Yeah.
So you're passing along not just a good cigar, a great cigar. You're passing along a work ethic that's worthy of the hammer on a go-forward basis.
Most definitely. And speaking of work ethic, let's get into what you do.
Oh my God.
What do you do for work, David, Dad, Pops, whatever you want?
well, okay, wait. Before we get into that, we were already talking about it. I gotta give a shout out to Cutters because this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. So, guys, we're gonna take a quick break because this is gonna be good right when we come back. But first, we gotta hear about our great sponsor, Cutters. Big shout out to Cutters Cigar and Spirits. This place is absolutely fantastic. It's got the cigars, it's got the spirits, and just a fantastic atmosphere. The people are amazing. I just can't say enough about it. Logan, what is your favorite thing about Cutters?
Man, it's exactly what you said. It's the atmosphere. When you walk in, you're welcomed. You go right to the humidor. You get the right cigar for your palate. And I just absolutely love that, the genuineness of this industry and this place.
It's just fantastic. So next time you're in Atlanta, make sure you stop in and see us at Cutters Cigar and Spirits. Welcome back, guys. Cutters is amazing, but we're here today to talk about David. Logan, you had a question for David right before, and I interrupted you because I just love Cutters so much, so I had to give him a shout out. But go ahead, ask your question again.
It's the atmosphere.
I'll allow the table for Logan
I
and
get
his
it, I
dad.
get it.
I gotta give it to him.
So we kind of we're talking about work, and I am curious what you do. I know you're my father, and a son should know what his father does. But I actually got to say, when I was growing up, this is pretty funny. When I was growing up, and when I was in school, people would ask, "What does your dad do?" And I could never give anyone a straight answer. You remember that? I could never really give anyone a straight answer because every time you told me, I didn't fully understand it. So maybe this is the chance for me to finally, after 25 years, fully understand it. I mean, I understand it much more now than I did, but growing up, I could never fully explain it. So, what do you do?
Wow. Wow. Okay. So the short answer is I start companies. I've had 25, 26 companies over the last 30 years. And I go out and look for ideas that are not mainstream, ideas that it could be something that's existing today. I just find a better way to do it. And I don't want to be an employee. I don't think I make a good employee because I'm going to always push forward. I want the next idea and I monetize it. And I figure out a way to make money out of something that either didn't exist or it did exist. And it's led to me having finance companies, credit card companies, asset-backed companies, and now today I own insurance companies here in London. I also have my own private equity fund that I invest in other companies, small companies, because they've got energy, they've got great ideas. It's just that you can't duplicate all of that or yourself. And so I invest in really smart, talented people.
We're going to have to look at him as an investor.
Yeah, through my private equity fund. So I do that
You
because.
didn't hear that, right?
They'll hear it afterwards.
But I think that's, there's a lot of people, even myself, when I was younger, I couldn't get money from anywhere. I funded every company, and maybe a company I started with $5,000. But my goal was to get it to where it made $100,000, $500,000, $1 million. And, I sold them. I sold one company 3 times. I sold it, got it back, sold it again, and got it back, and then the last time.
Every time for a profit.
Yeah.
Because you saw them, well, let me ask you this. Did you see them going in a direction that you didn't necessarily agree with and it could have been bigger, So is that what happened?
Well, you're on the right track because I watched them take that idea and try to convert it to their methodologies, and I saw the company start going down, and I would wait till it got to a certain point, and I'd offer to buy it back.
For a lower price, kind of like, the stock market by low side.
And that's where I started. Was my first job out of college was I was a derivative trader in the stock market for Raymond James. So I would write these funky math models and convert them into institutional portfolios. Wow. And so today I do some of that, but mostly today I'm just an investor. I invest in companies and people, not so much companies. It's the person that I invest in, and then. And I just, try to continue it forward. I mean, it gives you opportunities to be more philanthropic. It gives you opportunities to control your own destiny, and it gives you opportunities to help other people along the way, kind of like pay it forward.
Yeah.
Of people that did, there's some people that help me out along the way, not many, but some, and I make sure that I give that back. And so that's very important. So
that's awesome. So
I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, that's a great answer.
Perfect. Okay, you want to repeat that?
Yeah. It's got me intrigued, and I'm just doing this off the cuff because you've brought my mind into such a different direction. What would you say is the number one thing that you would look for in a new company? Now this isn't a pitch, but Logan and I are about to, we are going on this journey, right, with Dreamer Cigars.
Yep.
And bigger and bigger. We got plenty of plans in the works. But what is something as an investor you look at in certain companies and you say yes? What is that one? What is the biggest thing you say yes? I know it's a person, but what in that person?
Yes, but that's a fabulous question. I would say that I look at disruptive technology or disruptive ideas, things that change the economy. You saw how Uber changed the whole world of transportation. Yep. Taxi cabs were almost obsolete.
Yeah.
You saw that change. Okay. You saw how Microsoft and Windows changed the way that you do business. You saw Apple change the way graphics were designed. Disruptive ideas that can be put into the marketplace that are just going to be, it's like Robin Hood. They allow you to trade stocks differently now, and they allow you to trade smaller amounts, where all of the bigger companies overlook the people who wanted to invest $100 or $50. They don't want that money. Well, Robinhood, they do, and that's why they grew so fast. It was disruptive, and they fought their way, and they're doing great. So I think that's probably the first thing I look at. And then the second thing I look at is who is the management behind it? What kind of character do the people have? Are they the kind of people that are going to get, anybody can run a company that's doing great. How many can run a company that's doing horrible?
I think a lot of people skip over that.
They do.
A lot of people miss that part. Who are the people behind the institution?
Well, that's why people come into companies and they last a year or two and they're fired by the board because they take the company in a direction that's just not going to be, broad, diverse, and disruptive. They take it in something they think is the right idea, and they're missing the whole point. And so they get fired and a new person comes in. I had the luxury of having small businesses that I wanted to, it wasn't so much disruptive in the financial world as it was innovative to finding new ways to make that financial world, more sexy, more, why would you invest in our company or our ideas to the next guy? And so that's what we try to bring to the table. Disruptiveness, uniqueness, and a character of the management that really changed the paradigm of how you move forward with that business. Remember when everyone used to write a 5-year business plan and then it was like, okay, a 3-year. Now people write about a 5-minute business plan because the world's changing so quickly.
Right.
Technology's out there, So you have to think on the go. You have to look forward as you're looking at now.
I love that.
Would you say a business plan is still a good model when you start?
No. I've never written one.
I was asking that because I thought that, and I was like, I hope he says yes because then I'm going in the right direction.
Well,
I was like, okay, this is for me, Adam. Let's just cancel the podcast. I got a lot of business stuff going on, so I'm like, okay, I've never written a business plan. I don't believe in them, so so I'm happy I'm going in a good direction.
You're going in a great direction.
David, I do.
But when you say what is the things that you look at for a business, that's what you look at as far as business dynamics. But the characteristic of the business is really in the person. Never quit. Never quit. Because I like ideas, technology, and people when things aren't going well. When things are disarray, Warren Buffett used to say that When Wall Street gets nervous, he gets greedy.
Yeah.
And when Wall Street gets greedy, he gets nervous. So I'm the outlier. I'm looking for disruptive things, maybe in disarray, things that aren't right, and I figure out the pieces when I put them back together. That's going to make some really good business sense.
Are you guys
I was
taking
just
notes?
thinking that. There you go.
You guys taking notes?
Get your notepads out. I was just thinking about that a little earlier when you were talking about what you did, and it reminds me so much of Warren Buffett's type of model. So have you kind of taken a lot of have you studied him and all that sort of stuff and what he does, and kind of learned from what he did and his story and all that sort of stuff?
I think everybody has to take something from him. I think he just turned 91, 92 years of age.
Really?
And
wow.
he did. And he still drinks cherry Coke and ice cream and eats hamburgers every day. And you say, well, okay, here's a 91-year-old guy.
I'd like to do that at 91.
And, but I think
And smoke
that,
cigars, that's all.
yeah, absolutely. And we actually, all of us, if you are successful at this level or a bigger level, you become a part of everything you've been exposed to. You take the good from what you've been exposed to in your life and you apply it to your own self. And then you try to reproject that into the world as a business idea with a whole different personality. My personality today and the way I do things is not the way I did things when I was 18, 19, 20 years of age.
You adapted.
You adapted, you matured, but you became observant and you were humble enough to say, that's a better idea than mine, let's go with that. And so if you can do those things and look at it, that's why you guys complement each other so well, okay? You have different personalities, but at the same time, your idea spectrums meet somewhere up here that usually results in a pretty damn good idea.
Oh yeah, I think.
Sounds like we just got an investor.
I'll have to talk about the character part of this.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Okay, take out like anything before the age of 20 with him. Okay.
I discounted that already.
Yeah, me too. I don't even remember it.
No, I'm just kidding.
It was a blur. It's all a blur.
I think we can see that you're the epitome of an entrepreneur. So what was that thing that maybe the origin of how you got started in entrepreneurship? What was that thing that, what led you to be an entrepreneur in the beginning?
I'm gonna need a little bit more for this question.
Oh, yeah. So I will tell you that entrepreneurship comes upon people in a lot of different ways. Yes, thank you.
Oh, there you go. There you go. We gotta get a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you, AG.
I don't want to be held prisoner to a non-drinking cup here.
Hey, that was a good dad joke.
Oh, we gotta have some dad jokes
So,
in here.
Logan, I would tell you that obviously children today will say, hey, things aren't the way things were when you were, Dad, so why hold me to that same standard? And I would look at it and say, you're right, but at the same time, when I was 14 years of age, we didn't grow up with much money, and my father said we were going to buy school clothes, and he said, we're going to buy these jeans and these clothes over here. And I'm like, no, these are more cool. The kids over here are wearing these. He said, when we're spending your money, we can buy those. When we're spending my money, we're going to buy those.
So that sparked something in you.
It did. It was almost a rebellion to say, okay, is that the way it really is? And he went, yeah, son, that's the way it is. So I went out and I had every job that you can imagine, from tobacco, baling hay, making steers out of bulls in the spring. I've worked every job. Cars. I've worked on retail, selling men's suits at JCPenney's. Tires, putting on tires for cars. All those were experiences. I learned a little bit about everything. But I also, a part that when you're young, you don't have the money or the ideas to grow from. So you just are really trying to snatch on to someone's, coattail.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was able to find some people that I thought was leading me in a good direction, and I was humble enough to take their advice. And so, yeah, I did. I got some hardcore economics applied to me when I was younger. And from then on, since 14, I've been paying for my own self from that day on. And so if that's called an entrepreneur, fantastic. I call it survival of the fittest.
Right, it's not about the name, right? I mean, entrepreneur is it's tossed about in our generation so much. everybody on their Instagram bio and all that sort of stuff says I'm an entrepreneur and I'm the CEO of this thing, and they don't even have a real LLC.
Right.
I'm the big.
Just trying to put a title out there.
Right, and it's not about the title. It's you can call yourself an entrepreneur, but if you're just doing nothing with your life and you're not progressing, or you don't have goals and you're not fighting for it and you're not working hard, you're not earning the Padron hammer.
That's right.
Then it's you can call yourself whatever you want, but the world's going to reward those who work hard.
And never quit. I mean, you don't lose until you quit. And if you believe in yourself and your idea, don't quit. Just find another way to reinvent yourself every day. Find a way to bring something to yourself that you didn't do yesterday so that you don't leave the game with regrets. The worst thing that I ever thought in my life is a regret that I didn't stick it out long enough. I didn't apply some new ideas and reinvent myself. Download a better version of David every day of my life to match what today presents.
That's right.
Do you see why I am the way I am now?
Well, I do.
And don't give your kids everything.
I have a big confession. I have a big confession, guys. I'm not going to quit, but I'm thinking about it. My fingers are burning, and I just want to quit smoking the cigar, but I'm going to keep going. My fingers are burning so bad, but
all right.
I'm going to push through just because of David's advice. So I'm going to, but I need you to ask the first question, Logan, because I just need to sit here and center myself.
We don't need
I'm not going to
the
quit smoking the
fingers
cigar
to come off again. The fingertips.
Let's do it.
The finger burning questions. First finger burning question, Pops. What is your fondest memory smoking a cigar?
Wow, my fondest memory, I would say the first one that we had together.
Really?
Ooh.
Now,
We've talked about it before.
I actually said this story on the last, was it the last episode?
2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago, I said this story, and I know you remember.
Yes.
Cigars can get you.
It's a good
They
one.
can get you.
They can get you. Yep. I walk outside. Do you want to tell it?
Well, I was just saying from my version of the story.
Yeah, let's see what it is. We've heard your
is that, Logan wanted to smoke a cigar and stuff, and I had some nice Cubans. And might have been a Maduro, I'm not sure, but
it was not fair for my first cigar.
So I give him a cigar, and he's out there smoking it with me and bonding as male men would do, right?
There you go.
And all of a sudden, I noticed Logan wasn't looking too good, and he said, "Dad, this thing is kind of making my head a little bit light." And I said, "Yeah, it'll do that."
No doubt.
And next thing I know, he's over there sitting down beside of the house. And he's kind of slumped down, and he said, I don't think I can finish this cigar. I said, that's okay. He said, in fact, I think I'm going to be blah. And he threw up, and I thought, well, that's the end of that. He'll never smoke another cigar.
Well, here we are today.
Here I am.
Padron changed your mind, can bring you back around.
Thank you,
Padron changed my mind.
You know?
Thank you, Padron.
He held the hammer, and he kept.
I held the hammer.
You held the hammer and stuff, and the opportunity to smoke here at Cutter's and the greatest environment in all of Atlanta, you'll be able to hopefully continue cigars for many years.
Most definitely.
There you go.
It's a great story.
Well, that's going to transition into our next question.
Finger burning.
Finger burning question, fantastically. If you could smoke a cigar with anyone dead or alive, who would it be? This is a question.
I love this question.
Dude, it might be the best finger burning question, and I'm so happy it randomly keeps coming up.
Right.
Because
they're random.
They are.
With anyone dead or alive.
Dead or alive. There's too many people. And we've kind of discounted Jesus because I think everybody would say Jesus.
Most people.
I would say that my second choice would be Winston Churchill.
Russ Sutton, our last guest on our last episode, said the exact same person.
Oh, he loves cigars. In fact, when the doctor said you need to cut back, he said, what, to 5 or 8 a day?
There you go.
I mean, it's like that. I would say my first choice would be probably Jesus. That way he can turn any wine we want into a great pairing.
Oh, that was good.
That was clean. That was
good. That was almost as clean as this draw.
I like that. Ooh.
The finger's still burning though.
So Winston Churchill, what specifically about him? Not just because he loves cigars, but what about him?
All the odds were against Winston Churchill. The one thing that always seemed to be his character was when he held a cigar in his hand, which was pretty much all the time, and he would use a cigar as a prop. He would use a cigar to make points, and it became part of his personality to where not only did he enjoy the cigar, it became him as a person. And it's like, you know, you can smoke, and he smoked the same cigars and he had the same whiskeys all the time. So he was a guy that was true to the tobacco, but the cigar meant more to him than just a good smoke.
That's pretty cool. That's
like
pretty cool.
that.
I don't know if there's anybody else in the history of the world that embodies cigars more than him.
I agree.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that answer more often. But
I wouldn't either, yeah.
Logan, I'm not going to quit because I can't quit here in front of David, but I need...
Hold out.
I'm switching hands. If
I'm not holding your hands.
The people watching on the YouTube have seen me switching hands. So that's the last question. We gotta cap this thing.
All right, last finger burning question for David, Dad, Father, Pops, whatever you want to call it.
Dude,
what is your most favorite childhood memory? I know you've had a lot of childhood memories.
Well, yeah, you had a lot of jobs.
I had a lot of jobs, but what is your favorite childhood memory?
I would say it would be my senior year in high school.
Okay.
Homecoming football game.
Okay.
Ours was pretty good.
It had rained so hard for 2 days, and the field was muddy, everyone slipping and sliding. And going into that game, I knew that I grew up always playing in the mud. I loved it. I did not worry about slipping and sliding. And so that game, because that's back in the day when you went defense both ways. You went offense and defense. I was a nose man on defense, and I was a fullback on offense. And so I had 11 tackles and 2 touchdowns in that game. And it was the most exciting for me personally that I could have ever had. I've had other games I had better stats, but that game in itself, I had a challenge of something other than just the other team. I had weather, I had, weighted down with wet and mud and everything else, and you had to reach down and grab another gear to get to where you wanted to be. And so that's probably a hammer. I like it. and so that's probably, as a childhood memory, probably my most memorable.
That's really cool. That's awesome, and it's so funny when you hear somebody's favorite childhood memory. It almost always describes exactly who they are today.
That's a good point.
That's
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Isn't that crazy? It almost always describes who they ended up becoming when they got older.
You got him thinking now.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Very good point.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I mean, adversity adversity reveals your character, okay? And if you overcome adversity and you go through those things, that's still the same person you are today. So that's a great point.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I've overcome a lot of adversity in my life, but my fingers are burning so bad. I think it's been a tribute to who I became today, and I persevered even though my fingers were burning.
We're proud of you, AG. We're proud of you.
You've done well.
It's been hard.
Both of you guys have.
No, it's been fantastic.
It's been a great episode.
David, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been super cool just to see the father and son moment. There you go. I mean, that itself describes everything. The relationship you guys have, it's been so awesome. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have enjoyed the podcast itself. Make sure that you're following us on everything. Subscribe to us on Spotify, wherever you're listening to on the podcast.
Hit that notification bell.
Hit that notification bell. The YouTube is the YouTube's over there.
Oh, it's
subscribe over there, right there. And guys, what's the other? Oh, the Instagram's over there. The Instagram's over there.
Yeah.
So make sure you hit that one. And follow us wherever you can find Dreamer Cigars. Guys, we will be here every single Wednesday, live on Instagram and YouTube, on all of our channels. And we just appreciate you guys so much. And with that, I think we may finish this bottle of Prisoner tonight.
I think we may.
I think we might, but we're going to have to cheers it out. Thank you, David.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
That's great. Let's clap it out.